I'm here at the beautiful Bolsa Chica wetlands, where many people come to hike, to walk, to photograph, and just enjoy nature. But were it not for the visit of one person more than 100 years ago, there may never even have been a Huntington Beach. I'll tell you about it in just a minute.
I'm Chris Epting. I'm a writer and a storyteller, the author of several books and many articles about Huntington Beach. And what I like best is uncovering history that you may not be familiar with. This is Hidden Huntington Beach. The Bolsa Chica Gun Club was one of the most legendary landmarks in Huntington Beach, an enclave for wealthy elite businessmen to escape, relax, and yes, still probably get a little business done. It was located on the mesa directly opposite Bolsa Chica State Beach. Members of the exclusive club enjoyed access to the private entranceway, which today is part of the Wetlands Trail. During World War II, the Army took over the club and it became a military outpost. After the war, gun clubs were no longer practical for many reasons, including land development, and so the site was used more for social events and even many dog shows. In 1964, the Bolsa Chica Gun Club was completely demolished, and today the property sits empty, but it's still a fascinating place to explore in search of hidden history. I was curious about gaining access to the exact location of the property, which today is fenced off, so I contacted my friend Kelly O'Reilly, environmental scientist and reserve manager at the Bolsa Chica Ecological Reserve.
Kelly, where we're sitting right now is actually really important. That gate that we came in today, that was the actual gate where gun club members would come after they got off the train that Henry Huntington, he created a special stop just for gun club members right there. But to get off the red car there, you had to have a special signed ticket by Henry Huntington. And then they would come up this very road.
That sounds exclusive.
It was.
So these were well-to-do people, obviously.
Very well-to-do. They would get met there by a little car that would then sort of pick them up and take them away.
Well, how about if we go see where that car drove and get up to the gun club,
Lead
where
the way.
those exclusive
Lead the
people
way.
were?
Back in 1930, Hollywood came to Huntington Beach to shoot part of a film called Sarah and Son, right here where the Bolsa Chica Gun Club used to be. In fact, the gun club played a large part in the production. Sarah and Son starred Frederick March and Ruth Chatterton, who was nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards for her role in the film that year. Today, you can line up the exact spot where one of the scenes was shot, showing the driveway to the gun club.
Beautiful day up here today.
It is so gorgeous up here. We're getting,
Kelly,
yes.
When I walk up here, you know, I love the history of
Yes.
the Bolsa Chica Gun Club. The first thing that always strikes me that I direct people to look for is what's in front of us right here on the ground.
I know.
What is this?
Well, this is part of the old gun club. And as you can see, it kind of ends right there and it works its way up this way. And the gun club is right up ahead of us here.
The gun club opens in 1899 with this elite list of industrialists from all over Southern California. And this piece of roadway here, this driveway, cement system, sidewalk up here, this is all part of that original structure. It's really a connection. Before there was Huntington Beach, people got to remember, Huntington Beach doesn't start for a few years after. There's nothing really around here. It takes 2 days to get here at that point, by horseback and by stagecoach and all that. But the members do get here, they love it here. This is their exclusive hideaway, a real men's lodge. There were some, dozens of gun clubs all over Southern California, but nothing like this. This was a real lodge with, gourmet food and chandeliers and a smoking room and all that.
Yes.
And this sidewalk right here, this part of the driveway, really connects us to that era, doesn't it?
It does. It's so cool that there's a remnant of Huntington Beach or pre-Huntington Beach history here.
And there's more to see.
There is.
Let's go see it.
Yeah.
Kelly, this here is an amazing view because if people are unaware, those palm trees obviously were not here back in the late 1800s. They were brought in as part of the design of the Bolsa Chica Gun Club. And so that's hidden history right there as well, right?
That's absolutely right. These are actually non-native palm trees, as are, of course, the eucalyptus trees. And
They were all brought in.
They were all brought in for the ambiance, and we see them in the historical photos of the gun club. And here are the remnants, and the birds still use them to nest in.
You know what I love? I read from about 1910, there was an article that talks about the sound of the great blue herons that were in these trees back then. So it's almost like relatives of those same birds you hear today. They've never gone away, right?
Yeah, they're still here. We hear them here all the time, and they're just around us now.
Now, thankfully, they had rules back then at the gun club. You couldn't shoot those birds.
Yeah.
They did have rules about it, and it was a very exclusive enclave up here. The other part that people may not realize, it was sort of controversial. When the gun club opened in 1899, a couple of years after, the farmers in the area formed a lawsuit against the gun club, because what the gun club did is they sealed off a lot of the salt water. They wanted to create freshwater lakes for the black bass they would fish for. They really messed up the environment.
They did.
The farmers knew it was happening. The farmers resented the lack of access they now had to the beach. So they filed a big formal lawsuit. It got all the way to then President Theodore Roosevelt. He didn't make any move on it. The gun club was so powerful. There was no way a bunch of local farmers were going to thwart the efforts of this gun club. But it's an interesting part of the story that the locals were not happy about it. I mean, sure, there were local kids who would come out here and get paid to go collect the birds that were shot. Women and children were allowed here, like very rarely, on very rare occasions. This really was an exclusive men's club. You know, it was in the bylaws. What I love about it here, Kelly, this view really allows us to line up old photographs, to see the palm trees, but I'm sensing there's more on the other side of the fence. Any way you can help us out today?
Absolutely. Since you're here, Chris, I want to take you behind the scenes to show you the hidden history of Huntington Beach.
Lead the way.
Okay.
So Kelly, as I noticed walking up here, a couple of things. There's still some remnant roadway from the old gun club,
Yes.
which is amazing. Another thing too is off here to our right, you get a real sense of what the gun club members would have been looking at when they went hunting, right? I mean, it wouldn't have looked just like this, but this is the view. The freshwater lakes were out there, right?
That's correct. And today we have a beautiful view because it was restored in 2006. Prior to that, it was rather unsightly down there.
And they really, again, they drilled oil back here after
Yes.
1920, which gun club members, of course, made a lot of money from because they owned the property. But really today it's beautiful. And in a sense, the old farmers back then, they kind of finally got what they wanted in a way, right? In a little bit.
I suppose. I mean, the birds are back.
All right, where are we now? You're going to take us through?
I'm going to take you behind
To
the
the other
scenes.
side.
To the other side.
You know, Kelly, the deeper we get in here, it's really wild.
It
I've never
is.
been back here, and it's like a jungle.
It is so cool, so overgrown.
What really strikes me, though, you mentioned these eucalyptus trees, that these were brought here. They're dying. They've lived their full life here, right? So this is where they were born and where they're dying, and there's sort of a last remnant of hidden history here at the old gun club.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking about what it must have been like maybe right where we're standing back in 1901, 1902. You know, they raised their own chickens here to feed these wealthy gun club members. They had vegetable gardens. They had fishing ponds to make, you know, to catch fresh fish. It was really a beautiful environment for the members. And I think about one member in particular, Henry Huntington, when he first started coming here around 1900, 1901. This is where he hears about a little place down the road called Pacific City. So he hears about Pacific City, and ultimately, within a couple of years, they make a deal. He purchases it. It becomes Huntington Beach. As I was saying in the earlier setup, if Henry Huntington never came to the Bolsa Chica Gun Club, we may not have had a Huntington Beach, which is an interesting thing when you think about it.
It is.
You know, where were those decisions made? What happened right where we were standing, right?
Right.
But what I want to do, if it's okay with you, can we go deeper into the wild and see what's back there and just
You
get a
bet.
sense of what's really here now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
After you.
All right.
Wandering back in the wild, overgrown vegetation where the gun club used to be was a fascinating experience. You could feel the history crunching underfoot in every step, and there were many telltale traces of the old club. Large blocks of concrete, old rusted pipes, and more scattered around the property. Due to how densely the growth is, however, it was hard to get the kind of look I really wanted. And you know what that means. We're just gonna have to come back. Still, it was a mesmerizing peek at the past. It was easy to imagine all of the exclusive automobiles pulling up the driveway and depositing the elite passengers. I also started thinking about what it must have been like during World War II when the Army took over the gun club as a military barracks to protect against attack by sea. We'll talk a little bit more about that in an upcoming episode of Hidden Huntington Beach that will deal with World War II history in the area. But today, it was all about the gun club. Watching carefully for rattlesnakes, Kelly and I made our way across the expansive property and just soaked it all in. You could almost hear the gunshots shattering the calm and peace of early morning.
So that was pretty amazing back there.
Oh, that was so fun.
Have you been back there before?
Once before, but not as far as we went. And it was so interesting to find those big chunks of concrete with the pipe running through them. They must have had a water system.
They pump their own water. What's interesting is when they first started doing that, early 1900s, they couldn't drink the water because it had a high natural gas content. They would separate the gas out and use it to light their lamps and things. A few years later, someone figured out that was a sign that oil was here. So that water they first pumped was one of the original clues that there was going to be oil here. So again, there's a lot of cool stuff that we saw up there that sort of ties us back to the past.
But this is so amazing. I mean, do you happen to know how Huntington found this place in the first place?
Well, it wasn't Huntington. What actually happened in the late 1800s, there was this rich Austrian named Jarl von Schmidt who was part of a big gun club near Irvine, kind of where the wetlands are over there.
Yes.
Their deal fell apart over there, and he was desperate to find some property, and he found this. So it was actually Jarl von Schmidt who came here and found this spot, and of course everybody fell in love with it. How could you not?
Sure.
And again, the chance to wander back there today was, just think of all the stories that are back there.
I know.
I have a story before I go I'd love to share with you.
Thank you.
That'd be
yes.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's December 22nd, my birthday, by the way,
Oh.
but in 1910. And one of the gun club members hears about an air show up in Los Angeles. He contacts this daring, dashing French pilot named Hubert Latham. He challenges Latham to come down here and try and become the first ever pilot to actually shoot a duck with a shotgun while he's flying a plane. Latham agrees. He flies down here from LA. The gun club members gather up here, they gather on the beach, and they watch right there as he flies right there. He's up and down the coast right here, about 55 miles an hour with his shotgun. He shoots not one, but two blue-billed ducks out of the sky.
Wow.
The gun club members gather the ducks from the sand right here. Latham lands the plane somewhere up here on the mesa. He goes into the gun club and they feed him one of the ducks for lunch. Believe it or not.
That's a cool story.
It gets better.
Yeah.
I learned that when Latham goes back to LA, he takes the other duck with him, the first one that he shot. Eventually that duck makes it back to France, to his chateau, where today, in the family mansion, it sits there stuffed. The very duck he shot here. So I'm reaching out to the family now to see about maybe getting that duck back here in Huntington Beach where it belongs. I know you want to know more about that, so I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I got to run. I got a message from somebody that's pretty incredible about a potential desk that was actually here at the gun club. It's sort of a family heirloom she has. She contacted me. I'm gonna go check it out right now, see what it looks like, see what the details are. But in the meantime, Kelly, thank you so much for this amazing day here at the...
You are so welcome.
We gotta do it again sometime, okay?
Oh, it's so fun.
You promise?
Yeah.
We'll find more hidden history.
All right.
Or I'll see you later.
Thanks.
As much as I didn't want to leave the location because we had such a great time, I had to go check out the artifact. Meredith Tunehahara is a member of the Hidden Huntington Beach Facebook group, and like other members, she has been very generous in sharing her stories, but she's the first person to actually share an artifact this rare.
Meredith, I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris. I'm Meredith.
It's really nice to meet you.
Come on in.
Listen, I have been dying to see this table. Thank you for reaching out to me. I haven't stopped thinking about it since you told me about it.
I'm very
so
excited
I'm
about
thrilled.
it. This is the smoking table.
Wow. This is better than the picture you sent
Yeah.
to me. Meredith, this is incredible. All right, so what's the story exactly? Your stepfather?
My stepfather's father worked as a groundskeeper for the Story family.
And Hampton Story, for
Hampton
people that
Story.
don't know, manufactured pianos in Chicago,
Right.
Made a lot of money, came out west, co-founds the beautiful Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego, amongst many other things. Then he settles in Pasadena, a very wealthy man, right? And so your grandfather worked for him as a groundskeeper?
Yes.
And so what's the story from Hampton's story about this table?
My mother told me that it had been at the Bolsa Chica Gun Club. Without pictures, there's no proof, but that's the story.
Well, when you had told me that Hampton's story, that it had come from him, I got really curious because this to me is like potentially a really big deal. And I did some research, and interestingly, Hampton's story was one of the charter members in 1899 of the Bolsa Chica Gun Club. And when you see his name there all of a sudden, now we can place him in Huntington Beach at the gun club.
Yes.
So that's a big deal right there.
Right.
The other thing that strikes me too is this piece has this is where we're becoming like Antiques Roadshow now.
Yeah.
This piece has so much character. When you look at it, there's a little verse here that says, "Oh, vanity of worldly stuff, gone with a puff." That's a 17th century English verse. It's a Puritan poem. And again, this feels like something. The gun club was a very masculine place, and they had smoking rooms, they smoked pipes and all this. And why don't you take us through the piece, because it does have some nooks and crannies here, right?
In this compartment is a metal box with a small tool in it. I'm not sure what it is.
It's interesting. I see it. It's funny, it says Victor Bicycles on it. I was very curious about one of the items that Meredith showed us, which was obviously a cigar cutter. But when was it from? I did some research and discovered that a company called Victor Bicycles put out this promotional item in 1899. Why is that significant? Because that's the same year that the Bolsa Chica Gun Club opened for business. Was there anything else in here at all?
Yes.
All these great little secret compartments.
So I'm pretty sure this was for the actual tobacco, but in it is a woman's cigarette holder, because I used to have things like this. I'm not sure how far back. I don't know how old it is.
The mother of pearl. I see, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Wow. That's incredible. That was in here
That was
all
in
this
here.
time.
Yeah.
So here we've got this table. It feels like it may have been in the gun club. It certainly seems to match the personality of what things were like there. But then there's another, what I think is kind of a telling clue that you told me about, that seems like it may connect it even more to Huntington Beach. Do you want to show everybody what that is?
This is after my mother gave me this table, and I knew about the gun club, but I didn't really connect it that much. And then I saw this symbol, which is carved in there, it looks very similar to our Huntington Beach sign.
Well, it's definitely the letters HB.
Yes.
I don't know what the marking is above it, but the letters HB are there, and I think that's really interesting as we start to, tell the story. I mean, I wish this thing could speak and tell us all about it, but maybe that's how it's speaking to us.
Yeah.
That's it talking to us.
Right.
We have to decipher what that means exactly, but that's sometimes artifacts, they find a way of communicating with you.
Right.
I would argue that that's what that's doing right there. So we need to definitely look into this more, I think, but as a segment in this piece about the gun club, I can't think of a better way to close an episode with this beautiful artifact that I tend to believe was at the Bolsa Chica Gun Club. The next time you walk the trail at the Bolsa Chica wetlands, perhaps think back to everything that happened right there. In a way, it's the birthplace of Huntington Beach, and now you know the hidden history.